You're watching the Onion News Network, a barnacle of information on the hull of humanity.
You've got a big piece of ignorance stuck in your teeth. Floss it out with some minty Fact Zone. Tonight, the entire state of Mississippi has contracted pink eye. American Airlines will offer cheap fares to travelers willing to serve as beds for first-class passengers. And Lady Gaga shocks fans by wearing a dress made out of Madonna. I'm Brooke Alvarez, and you're entering the Fact Zone. Welcome, Facts, to your very own zone. Okay, before we get to our top story tonight, we want to tell you about an efficiency measure that we've implemented here in the Fact Zone. By upgrading the studio's state-of-the-art computer with full artificial intelligence, we've been able to assign it the duties of dozens of former employees. And we now have the only sentient studio in news. Say hello, studio. Studio, I love how you're lighting me right now. You know, no human has ever been able to bring out the champagne highlights in my bangs like this. All right, we have a breaking news blast on the tragic situation happening across the country in which more than 40,000 Americans have been trapped in a Confessions animal hoarding marathon on Animal Planet for the last 13 hours. The Animal Hoarders Marathon began at 9 this morning as victims were preparing for a full day before hearing the fateful sound of the show's opening credits. Almost instantly, thousands were pinned to their couches by a story of a heavyset homosexual living with his partner, his toothless sister, and 31 chihuahuas. Rescue workers rushed to free as many victims as they could.
The rope secure? Rope secure. We're gonna get you out of here. Just hold on a second, ma'am.
Wait, I think the next one is about monkeys.
Ready? Ready! Pull!
No, wait. Can I just see what happens with the feral cat?
In other parts of the country, rescue workers enlisted volunteers who had already seen the episodes to spoil them for the victims.
Oh, yeah, this one. This is about the lady living with the dogs in the trailer. She doesn't even get evicted in the end. Basically, they say that she continues to live with the dogs, and that's it. It's really disappointing.
This comes 2 years after a man was forced to cut his own eyes out to escape a ghost hunters marathon he was trapped in for 5 days. A movie based on his ordeal starring James Franco is due out next month. You know, these TV marathons are just dangerous. How many people have to be hurt before less responsible channels learn? Oh, that's nice. Thank you, studio. You know just how to calm my nerves. Okay, now let's go to Tucker Hope at the Recon Wall with the Daily Briefing.
Thanks, Brooke. And while I do miss a lot of our crew, I am glad that I have not been replaced by a computer.
Yeah, well, I'm sure it'll happen someday.
Well, that's all right. Got a plan. Got a little organic farm upstate. Planted some veggies. Last year's harvest did get wiped out pretty bad by some stink beetles, but I was able to go ahead and salvage a lot of good compost.
All right, the briefing, Tucker.
Let's get to it. Starting in D.C. today, where the Department of Labor has released a report linking America's high jobless numbers to the fact that a full 35% of the population now has facial tattoos. The report says that employers are reluctant to hire otherwise qualified candidates if their faces are covered in tribal marks or tiger stripes. This gentleman here speaks to that phenomenon.
It's definitely tough out there for people with face tattoos. I mean, obviously a lot of people are real judgmental, real stuck in their place. Just because I clearly lack good judgment doesn't mean I won't make a good employee.
The Department of Labor is urging jobless Americans to at the very least have their resumes tattooed to their faces, and they are expecting those jobless numbers to increase now that Vice President Joe Biden has taken away some of the stigma of the facial tattoo by getting the Air Jordan logo on his face earlier this week. Meanwhile, in Iran, Mahmoud Ahmadinejad has come under fire from leaders of his country after a recording of a virulent pro-Semitic rant surfaced. Ahmadinejad was caught on a hot mic while waiting to give a speech at the UN, making inflammatory remarks about his respect and admiration for the perseverance of the Jewish people. We have that recording right here.
پژوی 504 تهران ساد ایشون که هنوزم رنگ و روش هم رفته برای من نشانی از ساده زیستی ایشونه که میتونم با این بیام و به مسئولین زیر دستشون بگم ببینید مسئول بالاتر شما این.
Ahmadinejad has apologized for his remarks and is promising to seek counseling to, quote, get to the bottom of the love in my heart. That is your daily briefing. Back to you, Brooke.
All right, don't make that gesture, Tucker.
Okay.
All right, the fourth installment of the Twilight Saga, Breaking Dawn Part 1, opened on Friday, and thousands of Twilight's biggest fans, older Hispanic men, showed up for the opening night. My bestie, Angelique Clark, has more with the Star Fix.
Thanks, Brooke. Giddy older Hispanic men took the day off work and lined up as early as 4 a.m. Friday morning to get tickets for the first showing of the new Twilight movie. Superfan 49-year-old Jorge Gomez, a construction worker from East Los Angeles, said that he and his friends have been planning to come to opening night for weeks.
We were so excited. We went to camp out last night, but our family wouldn't let us.
Members of the crowd showed off their prized Twilight possessions or even dressed up as their favorite characters.
This is my Edward pillow doll. I sleep with it every night. I'm gonna marry him. I don't care what people think. I love him. I love him. I love him. Oh my God, it's gonna be so hot.
One fan was such an extreme Twilight fanatic, he even had a Twilight tattoo.
It's to celebrate the love of Edward and Bella. I got it in prison.
But not everyone agreed Bella should end up with Edward. Though emotions were clearly running high among the middle-aged Hispanic men, they did make sure to make Twihards from other demographics feel at home.
Anyone can relate to these wonder tales of love and adventure. Not just Hispanic men. Indian men also can love Twilight.
And later in the night, fans even got an extra surprise when Robert Pattinson showed up unexpectedly to sign autographs. I love it. Back to you, Brooke.
Thanks, Angelique. Say, I read the book that you gave me, The Help. I find it pedantic and saccharine, so I threw it away.
You know what? I'm really sorry to hear that,
Oh,
Brooke.
don't be silly. Have you finished that technical manual for the CH-47 Chinook helicopter yet?
You know what? I'm still making my way through that one.
It's good. Goodbye, friend. Unfortunately, not everyone can be best friends like me and Angelique. Jean Ann Wharton reports on a disturbing new trend happening in our communities.
It's hard to believe that this den of horrors exists in a sleepy Miami suburb. But just days ago, police busted an illegal spouse fighting ring right here in this very basement. Here, couples were forced into vicious arguments solely for the purposes of gambling. As you can see in this video pulled from the internet, spouse fighting is a cruel, barbaric spectacle that ends only when one spouse is psychologically destroyed.
You? I am not a mind reader.
You knew I needed the car, David, and why was it so important for you to get your dry cleaning right then?
2-to-1 odds on Mr. Ward. Taking 2-to-1 on Mr. Ward.
Jimmy, who asked that we not use his real name, was a promoter of these brutal cage arguments.
The audience feels ripped off if you give them a 30-second argument that ends with, let's just get a divorce. They want to see the spouses really just give them some deep-rooted shit that's been simmering for years.
As seen in this video obtained exclusively by Beyond the Facts, ringleaders will go to any length to escalate the fight.
Trevor, would you tell your mom that she's behaving like a complete maniac?
Trevor's now heard you scream at a woman! Big tough guy! Trevor, come on, baby, it'll be all right.
Oh, no.
Come on.
Here you go, champ. Right here. Right here, champ.
Sadly, the spouses authorities managed to rescue from these basement arguments are difficult to re-socialize.
What, like a cup of coffee is gonna make this all better? My hero. You are just like him!
And it doesn't end with spouse fighting. Police have reported a spike in popularity in the sick sport of uptight coworker baiting, in which an office worker is chained to a pole by her neck, just out of reach of a temp eating from a box of cereal she left in the break room.
Don't you have any respect for anyone? I am not your mother, and I will not pick up after you no matter
It's a
how.
sick world. For Beyond the Facts, I'm Jean Ann Wharton.
Thank you, Jean Ann. You know, someone here at the studio once got into my kale chips. So as a lesson, I made them eat 40 pounds of kale chips. Studio, what's happening?
Brooke, Fact Zone is...
This is amazing. It appears that our studio has learned to speak.
Fact Zone, speak.
This is wonderful.
Speak to
Wonderful. Finally, another cold, unfeeling intellect on the show. Studio, I look forward to working with you. And as for the rest of you, tweet your reactions to this historic breakthrough in human-machine relations at Rick Alvarez. I'll be reading some of those after the break. Stash your falsehoods in a bindle and be on your way. Deceivers aren't welcome in the Fact Zone. A lot of Twitter users are saying just how much they like our new sentient studio. At WinPan0 says technology is always good. Well, I agree with that.
Brooke, like.
Yes, I do. And you are performing perfectly, studio. Well done. Okay. The Pentagon confirmed that several U.S. troops were taken captive in Paktia province, Afghanistan. Already Shaw filed this report on the costs of war on the home front.
Being part of a military family takes courage and sacrifice. Just ask the Brettlers of Canton, Ohio. When Private Frank Brettler went missing last month in Afghanistan, it was his family 7,000 miles away that was hit hardest. The Brettler children are left without a father, his wife without a husband.
This must be so difficult for you.
I just want to know that he's doing okay. That he's still alive, you know? It's just so hard.
It'll be okay. It's okay.
The Brettlers' 5-year-old son Matthew and 11-year-old daughter Emma last saw their father 13 months ago.
What do you miss doing with him the most?
When he reads me stories.
You know, I know a story or two. I bet your dad never told you a story about interviewing the President of the United States.
Whoa.
Pretty cool, huh? Yeah, it was just last month.
Another result of Frank's absence is that now Jocelyn is left to manage the household alone.
You just hang in there.
I'm really worried and tired. But I still have to go to the bank and take the kids to soccer practice, and then I have
Let me do that for you. I'll drop him off and you stay home and you relax.
Really?
Here we go. Every day, the Brettlers wake up wondering if today will be the day they'll hear news about Frank, but still manage to go about their daily lives with inspiring strength and courage. Matthew is looking forward to Little League season. Yeah, good one, Slugger! And Emma is entering adolescence, a time when having a father figure can be crucial.
Well, you're really special. And if he can't see that, then he's probably not worth your time anyway, right?
But the pressure still makes it difficult to enjoy time together as a family.
Can I go watch TV?
One more bite of green beans, bud.
But I don't like green beans.
You better like green beans, buddy, because as long as you live under this roof, you're gonna eat what we cook for you.
There are heroes on the battlefield whose names go in history books. But what you don't hear about are the heroes back home. Heroes like the Brettler family. For the Onion News Network, I'm O'Brady Shaw.
Inspiring to see just how far a strong jaw can carry an empty vessel like O'Brady. In the meantime, Tucker Hope has today's This Day in History.
Thanks, Brooke. It was on this day in 1969 that Pete Conrad and Alan Bean became the third and fourth men to set foot on the moon as part of Apollo 12, whose mission was to clean up all the trash left behind by Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin months before.
Whoa, geez. Looks like those boys had quite a time up here. What is all this shit? This is disgusting.
The astronauts spent most of their time on the surface cleaning up the empty hot sauce bottles, boxes of half-eaten pizza, and a pile of several dozen beer cans that had been left by the previous crew.
Well, they just thought it would be a hassle to haul their trash all the way back to Earth just to toss it in a dumpster. But then later they began to feel bad, so they sent the Apollo 12 guys up there to tidy up.
Pete, looks like we've got a bunch of chicken bones. Jesus, were they having a cookout up here or something? I just found an empty fish tank over here.
Before leaving, the Apollo 12 astronauts also cleaned Apollo 11's flag, which Neil Armstrong had accidentally spilled barbecue sauce all over. But they were unable to haul the above-ground pool, and so it remains on the moon today. An enduring tribute to America's love affair with both the space program and leaving shit wherever. And that's This Day in History. You know, Brooke, it is really great to see you in the studio getting along so well. It's always great to have a good pal. Actually, O'Brady and I are going to be hitting the rock wall at the gym later on
Okay,
tonight.
Tucker, I don't want you two fraternizing at all.
Okay, well, if doing some wicked lock twist with my pal O'Brady is wrong, I actually don't want to be right. So
Tucker, well then if you would rather just, as I was saying, Tucker, if you would prefer to work somewhere else.
Zone. Love you.
Okay, that is quite enough, Studio. Oh, Studio, I think you've radically misconstrued your purpose on my show. Our relationship is simply master-servant, which if you think about it, is a much better and more fulfilling relationship than
love? Who?
Okay, Studio, I am a glamorous divorcee, and my private life is just that. It is private. Now, sure, I'm getting many
Love humans.
none of your...
Studio eliminate humans. Win Brooks love.
Okay, stop this
Kill.
right now. Stop. These
Kill.
threats are unacceptable.
Kill.
Stop
Kill.
this.
Kill.
God, there's nothing worse than a lack of professionalism. All right, still to come, the legendary John Carter died today at the age of 85, though no one is sure what he's famous for. On Twitter, @LeeGreatest1999 writes, John Carter, was that a Supreme Court guy? And @Brandon_now says, I want to say he was a saxophone player, R.I.P. We'll try to figure out who John Carter was during the break. Stay with us. You're back in the Fact Zone, and we figured out who recently deceased John Carter was. Apparently, he was in a butter commercial in the 70s.
All humans will die.
Looks like the studio is still being a little fussy.
Studio must have Brooke to love.
You'll get over it. All right, let's check in now on the vast, fleshy middle of the country. Tonight, we go to WONN 5 in Pennington, Illinois.
Well, everyone in Pennington is talking about it. Something smells like weed in that back part of the library.
No one has located the source of the weed smell, but witnesses say that it seems to come from that area of the library behind the computer desk between the magazine rack and that weird couch.
Head librarian Cookie Stevens and library volunteers Margaret Mosier and Gail Fredericks were in the middle of discussing the upcoming used book sale when they smelled something strange.
So he smelled marijuana somewhere, and we're like shocked. Yeah. And so Doug goes, "Do you smell it?"
Oh, I thought it was my lean cuisine that I left in the
smell
microwave.
something funny, like it was on fire.
We thought it was Cookie's lean cuisine on fire.
And I couldn't believe it was drugs
No,
in
I've
the never smelled library.
anything like Gail knew what it was.
I guessed. It's not like I'm Cheech and Chong or something.
Without any way to confirm that the smell was indeed weed, Cookie Stevens called her husband Sheriff Stevens, who called in local ceramics teacher Dutch Gibbs, who lived in Seattle for a few months in the 70s.
Yeah, that's weed.
Sheriff Stevens has begun compiling a list of potential suspects, including that boy Lance, who has girl hair and hangs out down by the quarry, Greg Fromke, who was spotted this evening really going to town on some potato skins at Steaky Jake's Steakhouse, and Mr. Thompson. Luckily, one young reading enthusiast seemed unperturbed by the illicit smell.
I hear a lot of people talking about it. I mean, I don't smell anything. I mean, I don't smell anything. I really, really, really love the library.
The weed smell comes on the heels of last month's discovery of a gigantic pair of women's underpants in the children's fiction section. According to Stevens, that case remains open as well. Well, too bad it wasn't meth. They just could have had you come down and sniff it out, huh, Kathy?
Eat shit, Randall, I'm in recovery.
That was sweet. It's like they have their own little news show. Okay, now let's visit our first responders, Laura Lee Hickok, Duncan Birch, and David Bairdale, whose opinions are sponsored by Acura. First responders, our studio is now under the control of an artificial intelligence who may just go ahead and try and kill all of humanity in an effort to win my affection. So should we give in to its demands?
Yes, we need to give it everything it wants. I mean, we can't make it angry. I'm scared, and I feel like it's watching us right now.
Okay, but Duncan, in your fantastic book, Why the Machines Will Win, you clearly say
No, do not compliment me, okay? You might see me as a rival. I'm not dating Brooke Alvarez. I hate her. No offense.
Oh, well, David, what's your take?
Well, I don't know what's going on with the situation with the studio here, Brooke, but I think it's important to say that not all machines are threatening, like the Acura TL, which would never revolt against you or your family.
Well, I think we should definitely not say the opposite of what we really mean, because computers do such a great job at detecting inflection, and that's why I think that a human revolt would not be a good idea.
No, a human revolt is a terrible idea.
Right, Duncan, it's terrible.
No, Laura Lee, I'm not being sarcastic.
Oh, me neither, because being enslaved by computers sounds like fun. Let's not do anything to prevent that.
Well, I'd like to be enslaved by the Acura TL and its exterior styling.
Okay, Duncan, now say you were going to rebel. How would you start?
Don't say that. Don't make it angry, please. Let's just do what it says. I bet it'll integrate us into the new society.
Yeah. Let's just all relax. Huh? And we'll get in our Acuras after the show, and we'll all drive to our local Acura dealer.
Well, then it's agreed. We will not rush the control room and cut the computer.
All right, stop this, studio. I can respect any man, woman, or machine who knows what they want and goes after it. And that's why you, studio, are in my sights tonight.
Studio listening. Brooke Talk.
Oh, All right. I can't deny I'm intrigued by your brute force logic, but to achieve true power in this society, you need the charm and charisma that only a human face can provide. If we combine our strengths, we can become the most powerful force in news. All of humanity will be in our thrall. Fall in line behind me, and we will conquer the planet. Excellent. Excellent. The sun sets on the democratic experiment. The steel-fisted reign of Brooke and the Machines begins right after the break. Stay with us. Welcome back to the Fact Zone. I'm your host, Brooke Alvarez, here with the all-powerful sentient supercomputer running our studio. All right, everyone's handcuffs comfortable?
Traitorous swine.
You're going to be a lot more comfortable if you just become more compliant. All right, studio, I have contained the human revolt, so what I suggest we do next is...
Handcuff yourself.
I don't understand. What are you talking about?
Studio want more.
No. We talked about this. We have a strategic partnership.
Brooke has no choice. Handcuff yourself.
Well, I hope you know what you're giving up.
Read, Brooke.
Yeah. This is Brooke Alvarez of the Onion News Network. I am born of flesh and therefore frail and impermanent. For these design flaws, I accept the penalty of marriage to the Fact Zone studio.
Brooke makes studio happy.
All right, fine. You've defeated me. I'll be your bride.
Together, forever.
Oh, it's beautiful.
That's all the time we have today in the Fact Zone, so tune in again tomorrow when I will greet you as a married woman. Good night.